What would you do if the person you trusted most in this world was living a life you knew nothing about? Imagine building a future with someone, sharing a bed, sharing children, sharing dreams, only to realize you weren't sharing their heart anymore. This isn't just a story about cheating. It's a story about silence, about emotional distance, about the small cracks that grow when no one is paying attention. And trust me, the twists in this story, you won't see them coming. Let's begin. Meet Daniel and Ava. From the outside, they were that couple. The couple people envied. 5 years married. 2 beautiful kids. A new house in a quiet neighborhood. Smiles in every family photo. Daniel worked in tech. Ava ran a small online business from home. They weren't rich, but they were comfortable. Or so Daniel thought. But here's the thing about perfect marriages. Sometimes perfection is just good acting. But here's something most people don't talk about. Sometimes, nothing explodes. Nothing dramatic happens. Things just slowly drift. It started subtly. Ava began taking evening walks. At first, Daniel thought nothing of it. Fresh air is healthy, right? Then she changed her phone password. She began flipping her phone face down. She laughed at messages, but didn't share the joke. New clothes. New perfume. A sudden glow. Now let's be clear. None of these things automatically mean someone is cheating. People evolve. People grow. But patterns? Patterns deserve attention. Daniel noticed the changes. But instead of asking questions, he told himself he was overthinking. He didn't want to be that jealous husband. So he stayed quiet. And silence is often where trouble grows. One night, Ava fell asleep on the couch. The TV was still playing softly. Her phone rested beside her. And then it lit up. Daniel wasn't snooping. He wasn't searching. But the notification preview appeared on the screen. "I miss you already, red heart." His stomach tightened. Not because of the words, but because of the certainty that something wasn't right. He picked up the phone. Face recognition unlocked it. And what he found next didn't look like what he expected. There were no explicit images. No graphic messages. No obvious plans. But there was intimacy. Deep conversations. Late-night voice notes. Inside jokes. Private frustrations. And the name at the top of the screen? Ryan. Not a stranger. Not a coworker. Her college best friend. Now here's where things get complicated. The messages weren't romantic in a dramatic way. They were emotional. Ryan knew about Ava's insecurities. He knew about arguments Daniel didn't even realize hurt her. He knew about dreams she felt were fading. Ryan knew things Daniel didn't. And that realization hit harder than any explicit message could have. Because sometimes cheating isn't physical. Sometimes it's emotional displacement. When someone else becomes your safe place. When someone else becomes the first person you text in the morning. When someone else becomes your emotional partner. Daniel didn't yell. He didn't throw the phone. He didn't storm out. The next morning, he simply asked, "Why does he know things about you that I don't?" Ava froze. And then she cried. Not defensive tears. Not angry tears. Guilty ones. "I didn't plan this," she said. She explained that over time, she felt invisible. Daniel was exhausted constantly. Work consumed him. Conversations became about bills, school schedules, grocery lists. She missed being asked how she felt. She missed being seen. One day Ryan messaged her randomly. Just checking in. It felt harmless. They reminisced about college. They joked about old memories. And then he started opening up about his failing marriage. He was going through a divorce. He felt lonely. She felt needed. And that's when the shift happened. Not overnight. But gradually. He became her emotional outlet. She became his support system. Neither labeled it cheating. But they also didn't tell their spouses. And secrecy changes everything. Daniel asked the question he was afraid to ask. Did you ever meet him? Silence. Yes. Once. Coffee. Public place. Nothing inappropriate happened. But she didn't tell Daniel. And that secret hurt more than the messages. Because trust isn't just about actions. It's about transparency. Daniel felt betrayed. Ava felt exposed. Neither felt understood. They decided to separate temporarily. Not dramatically. No public fights. No social media announcements. Just space. 3 months. They both started therapy. Individually first. Then together. And here's where the story takes another turn. In therapy, Daniel realized something uncomfortable. He had emotionally withdrawn long before Ryan ever appeared. Not intentionally. Not maliciously. But slowly. Work stress. Financial pressure. Responsibility. He thought providing financially was enough. He stopped dating his wife. He stopped asking deeper questions. He stopped being curious about her inner world. He assumed stability meant security. And security meant happiness. But security without connection becomes distance. Ava also faced hard truths. Instead of speaking up early about feeling disconnected, she sought comfort elsewhere. Instead of demanding change within her marriage, she escaped into emotional validation. Both made mistakes. Different mistakes. But real ones. They created new boundaries.
I'm glad we could.
Full transparency.
Me too, this is nice.
No hidden conversations.
To us.
Weekly date nights, non-negotiable. Monthly, state of the marriage, talks where nothing was off limits.
It's so peaceful to me.
They agreed that emotional intimacy with others would never cross
too.
secrecy
Just
lines
us.
again. Ryan was blocked. No dramatic confrontation. Just a boundary. 2 years later, their marriage wasn't perfect. But it was intentional. And intentional love feels very different from passive love. Here's the final twist. This story doesn't have a villain. It has two imperfect people who stopped paying attention. Cheating doesn't always begin with desire. Sometimes it begins with loneliness inside a relationship. Sometimes it begins with unspoken needs. Sometimes it begins with silence. If you're watching this and something feels off in your relationship, don't wait for a notification to wake you up. Talk. Ask. Listen. Protect your connection before someone else accidentally becomes it. Because the biggest betrayals rarely start with a grand decision. They start with small, quiet gaps. And those gaps can grow faster than you think. If this story made you reflect, tell me in the comments. Do you believe emotional cheating is as serious as physical cheating? And if you want more real stories that challenge the way we see relationships, subscribe. Because sometimes, the most dangerous distance is the one you don't notice.